How would you define quality time? How would you define being bougie? How would you define a good day? It's all relative, you know. Reading is beautiful. A good read on a good day is awesome. This is my current read, The Go Giver. Hydrating while keeping warmth on a cold day is very essential. I love my tea sugar-free. This is my number one way of staying healthy. The couch is my comfort zone. I love reading on the couch. I get the most out of my read. For relaxation, I love to Netflix and chill. And of course, I do this while sipping on some tea. I drink tea pretty much the entire day. Hydration, 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 and some more hydration. And hey, if you didn't know what my favorite movie genres are, I love comedy, fiction, and drama. And of course, my day doesn't go by without me dancing. Get those steps, girl! Yeah! When it comes to dancing, guys, I am my hype woman, okay? Dancing keeps me sane, happy, and relaxed. And hey, it's a fun way of exercising as well. And this, my friends, is my definition of quality time on a good day in a bougie bathrobe. Now, let me show you step by step how to achieve this gorgeousness right here. This bathrobe, guys, I tell you, it gives you all the different feelings of bougie. There are levels to this thing, okay? There are levels to this thing. Louder for the people in the back. There are levels to this thing, okay? Let me stop being obnoxious right now and let's get into this video. Please, if you haven't subscribed, be sure to hit the subscribe button and join the family. I decided to make this bathrobe of a commercial pattern. I have a couple of videos on how to read and understand commercial patterns, and I'm going to link those down in the description box below. And in those videos, I used the exact dimensions of this bathrobe as an example for demonstration purposes. Now let's go over the supplies. Like I mentioned, I'm using a commercial pattern, and this is New Look 6233. I need, of course, my fabric, which I got from Joann's Fabric. I need scissors, a paper scissors and a fabric scissors. Please do not use the same scissors for fabric and paper. You also need a box of pins and chalk. As you can see, I've already cut out my pattern pieces, and this is a follow-up from the last video. So if you haven't watched the previous video, please be sure to watch that so you can better understand what we are doing here now. Just a short recap, we have a total of 7 pattern pieces, which was from the numbers 12 to 18. So opening your pattern paper, any piece that you see the numbers between 12 and 18 on those were the pieces that we cut out. And on each piece, you will find the number, you will find the part of the garment. And for example, here it shows me the sleeve. And you will also find the pattern paper and the number of cuts or the number of pieces you need to cut out with that pattern on your fabric. You should find similar information on all 7 pattern pieces. To cut out the fabric pieces, I place pattern pieces on the fabric and cut them out following pattern instructions. Please refer to our previous video on the detailed instructions from the pattern. During this process, I decided to add some flair to my robe. So instead of using the same fabric for the entire thing, I decided to trim my pockets with a matching satin fabric as well as the band of the bathrobe. We'll see details of that as we go along. Let's begin by prepping the pockets of the robe. Cut out 4 pieces of fabric following the pocket pattern, 2 from the satin fabric and the other 2 pieces from the main fabric. Now place each satin piece with a piece of the main fabric with wrong sides facing each other. Make sure that everything is nice and straight, especially along the width. Fold both pieces 2 1/4 inches outwards along a width. Then further fold 1/4 inch inwards to hide the raw edges. Pin it down along the 1/4 inch fold and run a straight stitch on your sewing machine. I am going to be doing the exact same thing for the other pocket. Once everything is nice and complete, the next step is to attach these pocket pieces to the front pieces of your bathrobe. You should have 2 pieces for the front part of your garment, the left side and the front side. So we are going to place the pockets on these pieces at 20 inches down from the shoulder level. It's very crucial that you make sure that these pockets are placed at the center of the front pieces. And all you have to do now is to tuck 1/4 inch around the 3 unfinished edges to hide them in. Pin the edges down and run a straight stitch around them. Once you've completed the same steps for the other side of the front piece, you should have pockets that look like this. Next, I'm going to be attaching the back piece of the garment onto the front piece, and I'm doing so only along the shoulder blades. Since the back piece is a single large piece, you want to take your time to match this piece along the shoulder cut, right sides facing each other. And as always, use your pins to help with accuracy. Right, after running a straight stitch along the shoulder lines, you should have something that looks like this, and voila, the garment is beginning to come together. I hope this excites you as it excited me when I was making the garment. Let's move on to attaching the sleeves. Open the garment flat out on the table. The armhole should be clearly visible. The next thing you want to do at this point is to determine the midpoint of the armhole and also the midpoint of the sleeve so you can pin it down correctly. The midpoint of your armhole is simply at the shoulder blade. The easiest way to determine the midpoint of the sleeve is to fold the sleeve in half lengthwise. The wider side of the sleeve is that which will be attached to the armhole. Using your pins, go ahead and attach the 2 midpoints together and then further pin to the left and to the right of the sleeves. Now that I'm done attaching the sleeve to the main garment, I'm going to go ahead and run a straight stitch following the shape of the armhole. And of course, repeat the process for the other sleeve. In order to finally close up the sleeves, I'll be running a straight stitch from the very beginning of the sleeve all the way to the bottom of the garment. Before I do that, I need to make sure that the belt carriers, which are the loops on the sides of your robe, are actually inserted for a proper finish. The carrier was cut out from pattern piece number 16, and I'm simply going to fold this piece such that I create a crease in the middle and further fold along this crease. When that is nice and done, I'll run a straight stitch across. As you can see, I ran a straight stitch along the length of the carrier. And the next thing I'm going to do is to cut this string in half. And we are going to be fitting each half on the left and the right sides of our garment respectively. Let's fit the carriers into our garment. First, pin the open length of the sleeve up onto the underarm, and we are going to insert the loops about 2 inches from the underarm, one end at a time. Follow directions very closely and see how I insert this carrier on this bathrobe. I'm putting in the entire carrier on the right side of the garment, and I'm pulling out only one edge, 2 inches away from the underarm. Pin down the other end of the carrier about 3 inches further down from the first one. If you complete this process correctly, when you flip the garment over, you should see a loop on the right side. And of course, we are going to stitch all the way from the underarm to the bottom of the garment and repeat the same process on the other side. Oh, let's see what we have here. It really looks amazing already. So all we have to do now is to include a band to complete the neckline, and also to do some hemming on the bottom and on the sleeve as well. To finish the neckline, we need to sew on a band. I decided to cut this band out from a satin fabric to match the trim on my pockets. According to the pattern instructions, I needed to cut out 2 pieces of this. Before sewing them on, I must join them together, and I'm doing so along the width of both pieces. When stitching, be sure that you are placing the fabrics or both pieces right sides facing each other. After stitching that, I should obtain a single straight piece, and the next thing to do is to fold the piece in half lengthwise, right? And notice that I'm doing this wrong sides facing each other. All along we've always done right sides facing each other, especially when we have to flip our piece or the garment over to the right side. But in this case, we do not need to flip the band over, so we are leaving it at wrong sides facing each other. I'm going ahead to give this a good press. Let's go ahead and attach the band to the bathrobe. The first thing to do is to determine the midpoint on the band and the bathrobe as well, which is usually on the neck area. The midpoint on the band is where the 2 band pieces join. To proceed, I'm folding the bathrobe in half to determine the actual midpoint on the neck area, because this is going to serve as my starting point when inserting the band. Next, pin the band to the bathrobe starting at the midpoint of the neckline. Make sure you pin all the way down to the bottom of the garment on both sides. If you've pinned this down correctly, you should have something that looks like this. And of course, you want to go ahead and run a straight stitch all the way from end to end. So after stitching on the band, this is what I have right now. And when I flip this over, the edges are looking really awful. They are really raw. And this is the point where the serger is your best friend. I'll go ahead and run the seams on my serger to prevent the satin fabric from giving way. And you can also do so with the other seams as well for a more professional finish. And hey, you don't have to worry if you don't have a serger. You can always use the zigzag stitch on your sewing machine. If you're still watching this video up to this point, thank you very much for your patience. You can hear me talk this long. Thank you very much. And please do not forget to hit that subscribe button. Now let's give this garment some finishing touches, which includes just hemming around the sleeves and the bottom of the garment, and also making the belt for the bathrobe. I'm folding and hemming about 2 inches of my sleeve from the wrong side and tucking in about 1/4 of an inch for a proper finish. At the bottom of the rope, I'll be folding and hemming 3 inches and tucking in by 1/4 of an inch. Please be sure to use pins before sewing to make sure that everything aligns. The last thing we are doing is to create a belt for this garment, and yes, this is the very last thing. Super exciting, right? And this is pretty much the same as the carrier that we had done earlier. And basically, instead of creating a very tiny crease like we did before, we are creating a very large crease on this one and folding the piece in half. Sew directly on the right side from end to end, and voila, your belt will be completed. If you so desire, you can actually fold this in half, right sides facing each other. You sew it through and then you flip sides over. You will have the same results, but I just didn't find the need to do that. And this, my friends, is how you make a bougie bathrobe in 15 minutes. If you did like this content, please do not forget to give this video a thumbs up. And if you like the bonnet I'm wearing, I'm leaving the link down in the description box below as well. Thank you very much for watching this video until the end. Please invite your friends to join the family. And if you haven't subscribed to join the family, please be kind enough to hit that subscribe button. Until next time, bye!